I just saw Inside Out 2, and I'm going to tell you what I thought about it right now.
Riley is officially a teenager now. You aren't packed yet?
I'm the worst!
Overreact much?
I barely touched it.
Inside Out 2 is a sequel 9 years in the making. It's written by Meg LaFauve, who returns from writing the first one and has done things since, like The Good Dinosaur and Captain Marvel. Kelsey Mann also has writing credits and also acts as the sole director of it. The cliffhanger at the end of the first Inside Out was no empty promise. We saw the puberty button pop up on the console at the end of the first one, and this movie is in fact about Riley entering high school. She has new challenges to face, and with that comes new emotions that she's going to feel. You've seen them in the trailer, but they include embarrassment, envy, and the ringleader of them all, anxiety, voiced by Maya Hawke. People call it different things, but most have detected a dip in quality for Pixar movies in the past few years, really post-COVID. It's naive to point to a single factor that has led to the inconsistent quality, but the changing of the guard may have something to do with it. John Lasseter's been divorced from the company since 2018, and Andrew Stanton has had minimal involvement in recent projects. It's not so much that they were the only writers that could craft a specific script or good scripts, but I think their influence was at a higher level. They had a vision for the type of stories that audiences gravitated to. Watching Inside Out 2, vision might be the defining quality of this movie. The world building, the cleverness of the characters, the comedy, all feel fresh and new, rarely relying on the ideas that made Inside Out so great. A sequel should feel organic, like the writers knew the logical next step in the story and pushed the studio to get it made. It usually feels the opposite way, however, like the studio wants a sequel and forces the writers to continue the story. Looking at the last year of Disney animation is actually an interesting case study. In the last year, they've released Elemental, Wish, which was Disney animation, and now Inside Out 2. Though Elemental and Wish were technically original movies, the common criticisms with both of them were that they felt unoriginal and uninspired. People said that Elemental felt like a familiar Romeo and Juliet rom-com, and that Wish was really just a conglomeration of Disney princess movies of the past. Now we get Inside Out 2, which even though its existing IP, is the most creative and feels the most inspired out of all of them. And that's what I've always felt. Original shouldn't refer to whether the characters or world are borrowed from prior stories, but rather if the plot that ensues is generic or something new. I can't excuse Inside Out 2's story completely though. You can tell that the template is in a way copied here. The adventure follows a few familiar beats from the first, and some of the messages and themes are reminiscent of that first story too. It's easy for me to overlook this though because the skin around this core story is different. The best comparison I can make is that it's like if you're into jogging or biking or hiking through forested areas, it's going to be the same path and trees every time you go down it, but as seasons change, the nature will change too. Walking through it in the fall will offer different scenery than if you walked through it in the snowy winter, and that's how I feel about Inside Out 1 and 2. The core is the same path, the same story, but the surrounding elements are distinct to each one. I also liked how we get the 5 main emotions together for the majority of this movie. The first one separated joy and sadness from the others, but they all spend more time together in this one, and the ensemble's chemistry really works. The movie is balancing a lot of different things in its only 90-minute runtime, so that means that the character development of the emotions is scant, but these movies are about what the characters do more than who they are. So we get a little bit of character development from joy, but the other emotions stay pretty one note. By the way, they got Paul Walter Hauser to voice embarrassment for maybe the least amount of lines ever given to an actor of his caliber. His presence is 98% whimpers. It rivals Vin Diesel's task of pronouncing we, I, M, and Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy. As you can tell, I'm pretty high on this movie. It's the kind of movie that I was enjoying so much that I forgot I was watching a movie and just got sucked in. Any problems I have with it are nitpicks. I know I've noted a few, but they really are pretty minuscule, and I can 100% recommend it to even the mildest Disney fan. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Thanks for watching my review of Inside Out 2. Please consider liking and subscribing, and I hope to see you next time.